It's in-person live show day. Woo! Rah!
Everyone up. Everyone up. This is an everyone up kind of day.
It is in-person live show day. Midwest Coast Brewing, Chicago Hockey Radio live show. 6 p.m. doors open. That was an abrupt cutoff of the music, Raven. Yeah.
I tried to do it so I could get the air horn volume higher without the music. So.
Heard. The in-person live show day, Midwest Coast Brewing. Game starts at 6:30. You all can get there starting at 6. We will be there much earlier than that setting up. Should be, I mean, this is going to be a ton of fun. We've got like way more people that signed up even just this morning. This is going to be great. I'm super pumped about this. We're excited to see you all there. Everybody in attendance will be getting one of these sweet bags, discounted drinks. Everybody at Midwest Coast Brewing has just been super kind to us, and we're going to give them a bunch of shout outs tonight at the show. But yeah, I'm pumped, boys.
I'm pumped to meet a bunch of you guys, put faces to names and chat, you know. It's going to be so exciting. And hopefully the game is decent in that Ottawa doesn't just run us over because they need the points more than we do. But it's going to be so much fun. And we're going to get super drunk.
Allegedly. Yeah, no, this is definitely a pretty important game for Ottawa. I mean, they're in the middle of this playoff race right here. I mean, just checking the standings right here. They're a couple points out. They're literally 1 point out. So a win tonight will probably get them in it. So definitely a more important game for them than it is for us. But you know what? Hawks are kind of rolling here a little bit, right? Consecutive wins, you know, courtesy of, you know, him, Spencer Knight, you know, a night to remember for him on Monday. We'll get plenty into it. Unfortunately, we won't be seeing him tonight. It is Arvid, but you know what? The season soda's had. That's fine. I think we'll be having plenty of sodas tonight ourselves. So I think that works out pretty nicely. And, yeah, let's make this 3 in a row, right?
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't like pre-think of that. That was all on the cuff here.
You didn't have to admit that.
I was writing the notes.
Can the Blackhawks put 3 wins in a row right after they move Seth Jones?
That would be something, man. Just how long can we stay undefeated in the Seth Jones-less era, the Spencer Knight era? How long can we keep this train rolling here? Because I must be said, I think this could be one of our main talking points during the Hawks Hour today. But like the vibes shift this last week. I know we talked about it a lot, but this culture shift has been immaculate. It just seems like it's a completely different team right now. And I think it's definitely much needed. It just feels like hope has been restored here. Spencer Knight has given us something to, you know, look forward to the rest of the season here.
This team does feel fun to watch again. And so if you are watching right now and you are on the fence of like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go to the show tonight or whatever, just come. It's going to be so much fun. This team's actually enjoyable to watch again. We have hope. Please come. It's going to be awesome.
So another point about tonight too is that right now, obviously, we're performing to you all through a camera right now and our microphones. We're kind of hidden in the studio here. This show tonight is going to be very interactive.
Yeah.
Like we are, you know, we've got fun questions planned. Second period, everybody's going to get to come up to producer Raven's mic and ask their own questions to us. You know, we're going to like, we want cheers, we want boos, we want, you know, all of it. Like we want you guys shouting different things. Like I have questions planned that are like, you know, I want everybody just yelling out different things and speaking their mind. Like this is, you got to be loud. Like this is,
we want the crowd getting chippy tonight.
Yeah.
Bring the energy. Bring it. That's what we want to see.
Get hammered and heckle us for all we care.
Yeah, so looking forward to tonight. Quick programming note for Friday's show as well, because it's the NHL trade deadline. We don't want to like do the show and then have it end and then have like 3 major trades break. So Friday's show is going to start at 2 p.m. Central, which is the end of the trade deadline. And then there's always like a couple of deals that filter in after the fact. So by the time we get to the end of Friday's show, all of those deals will be made and known, and we'll be able to break them down for you. So that way, you know, because trade deadline coverage is always so weird for some people. Like, you know, you watch like the network broadcasts of it, and sometimes they're just like sitting there filibustering for like...
Yeah. The only other way to do it would be like a 5-hour long live stream that we're just sitting there and just like waiting for important things to happen.
So we're going to wait Friday until the trade deadline ends, and then the show will begin right at 2. Trade deadline is 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. So right when the deadline ends, we will start our show and break it down for you all. And then, back to regularly scheduled programming next week. And that's it. Subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and leave a 5-star rating and review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Helps us out a lot. We are also welcoming on Brian Garfield in the NHL Hour. Helps cover the Florida Panthers a little bit, and we're gonna sort of do a little bit of cleanup on Seth Jones and Spencer Knight and what the Hawks are really getting out of this goalie. Panthers also just made another move for Vitek Vanacek, so we'll break that down a little bit with him later on in the NHL Hour.
Garfield, why you keep eating so much lasagna?
Vanacek.
All right, let's get into it, fellas.
All right, let's do it.
It's the Hawks Hour. A little bit of a vibe shift this week for the Hawks. Kind of talked about it a little bit on some of the post-game shows and just on the live streams. It just feels different now. Like, just whether it's a weight off the shoulders, whether it's, I don't know what it is exactly with this group, but it just feels like they're playing looser.
I think it's a combination of things. I mean, it's certainly the Spencer Knight effect a little bit. Like, you have, one of the most promising young goaltenders in the world come over to your team and in his first game at home put up a performance like that. That's going to get the fan base buzzing for sure. But then, I think that Seth Jones leaving it's not just about like the player himself or like the contract or anything like that. It's kind of like a signal to usher in the new wave a little bit. It's like the passing of the guard a little bit. No more Stan Bowman. Hello, Kyle Davidson. The youth movement, especially in the defensive group. I think it's all those things combined.
I think a lot of it too is just like this energy that Spencer Knight has brought in. Like, I love this kid's mentality. Like, he just wants to win. I love that quote he had. Like, it doesn't matter if we're in first or last place. We're going to win the hockey game. Like, it just seems like he's brought this vibe shift, this energy shift to the locker room. So yeah, I think the combination of getting Seth Jones out of here, which whether you believe the rumors or speculation that he's a locker room cancer or not, like the fact that the Hawks are playing this well since he's been dealt, I don't think it's just a coincidence, right? I think it is kind of a bit of a weight off the shoulders there. Maybe some of his talks and stuff about wanting out were a bit of a distraction, and it's giving these young kids the opportunity to step up, right? It's a lot more minutes to go around. Like, I think the kids are truly taking over here. Like, it's happening right now as we speak. I think it's what we've been waiting for all season. It's finally happening. I think it's just kind of riled up his fan base and giving us some more energy just the rest of this year. I think it'll be a fun finish, a fun close of the season, and strong off season. And I think we'll be pretty hyped going into the next year. It's going to be better. But brighter days ahead for sure. Yeah.
The thing with Knight too is just like he hasn't been on this team suffering this horrible season, so he comes in and he's like, "Let's go," and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, okay, let's." Everyone gets fired up because they see this guy fired up. So, did you guys see Pat Maroon talking about Seth Jones on Morning Cup of Hockey?
Yeah, he had some interesting things to say.
No, I didn't.
He was just kind of like, yeah, he didn't love the comments Seth made. He was like, some of that stuff is like, comments and things you'd like to keep in like the locker room between the guys. And like, he wouldn't have done that, but that he's like, he doesn't think Seth Jones is like a bad guy or anything. He just thinks that like frustration boiled over. So I think it's pretty fair to say that, the locker room did not feel great about the stuff Seth was saying before he left, and then definitely the stuff he said after he left.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair to say. I think to your Spencer Knight point too, like, he's used to winning, right? He was on that cup team in Florida. I mean, kind of. He wasn't really, but he was there. He got a cup. So like, he's used to kind of those, like, a completely different experience in the locker room. I think a part of it is maybe he can like help bring that over to here, right? So at least temporarily. So, and hopefully for the future as well. But I think it's good for that standpoint too, just to have somebody like that in the locker room who's a winner. He's got that right mentality. And I think he's brought that with him here. Yeah.
Do we all wish that Spencer Knight was starting again tonight?
Yes, yeah. I wish. I think he did everything. What more could you ask? Like 41 saves, 42 shots, almost had a shutout, went for a goalie goal. Even like the confidence on this kid. Like, I would reward him with consecutive starts. I mean, he did have a pretty high work goal in that game too, so maybe that's a part of it, right? We'll see. I mean, I would expect to get the bulk of the starts the rest of the year, but maybe it'll be more of a tandem, right? Where he and Soda kind of split the starts, and we'll see what happens there. But the fact that's not Peter tells you, yeah, he's all but gone. So I'm sure the Hawks do everything they can to ship him out here for whatever they can do, just to have their 2 goalie rotation the rest of the year. Yeah.
Do we want to hear from Spencer Knight?
Yeah, let's hear from him.
Sure.
Yeah, let's play the clip.
Yeah, I said that no matter how smoothly things go, the first week or so is going to feel like chaos. That's just the way it is. But I think I've learned to embrace that. I've been through a lot of different difficult challenges in my life, and this is another step in the journey. And I think I'm looking to bring what I witnessed and was a part of in Florida and bring that here, because I said I don't care if we're in first place or last place or anywhere in between. We're coming to the rink and playing to win every night, and that's my motto. That's my motto, at least going forward. I'm here to build a championship-winning team, whether that's a year, 2 years, 5, I don't know, but that's what we're working towards.
Screw it. Just give Spencer Knight to see it this rink.
Yeah.
He is him, man. I mean, I love this guy, man. Like he's gonna be a rock star in this city, dude. Like, I mean, especially like a goalie like that, somebody that this fan base can get behind. I just love the mentality he has.
Yeah, I love those comments. It just sounds like a guy that knows he's going to be here for a long time and be a big part of this group. And it seems like he's already completely accepted that and welcomed it and is excited for the challenge. And so I think, I don't know, you can't ask for better comments after the game and the performance he had and the move and everything. So I'm pumped to hear that from him.
He got the belt too, and hopefully got a little more in that too. Hopefully, this Hawks team's been assimilating him into the city and giving him a good time because he deserves it, right? Let's bring him into this culture here, help instill this new wave here, and he's the guy here. He's going to help pull us out of this thing for a franchise goaltender. So he's definitely stepping into that role and running with it.
The thing about we've watched all of these games this season. At times, it's felt just monotonous and like they're just going through the motions sometimes. And when the losses pile up, obviously that makes a little bit of sense. And, to his point, it's like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if we're in first or last. Like, I'm coming here to win. And nobody's really said that on this team this season. It's sort of been like, we're trying to get out of this, a lot of identity talk, but this guy's not used to this. He hasn't spent the whole year here. He spent the better part of the last 3 seasons on a team with really, really high expectations internally. And it's going to bleed into the rest of the group a little bit that, this guy, and that's what a goalie is too. He's supposed to be your rock.
The backbone.
The backbone of the team. He sees everything. He's watching it from his perch there, whether it's on the bench and sitting and watching the whole game or it's in the crease and you're getting that sort of view of everything playing out right in front of you. He knows what winning hockey is going to take. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's going to, what it looks like and what it feels like and, how guys need to play. And yeah, I just think this is a great kid and he's still so young.
He's so young.
Like that's the thing. He's not even 25, 26,
developing.
27. He's 23 years old. He'll be 24 in like a month or so,
I love how he said the temporary expectations coming in, then right away just steals the show for an absolute masterclass legacy Hawks debut. Like you can't really do much better than that. He just seems so into it too. He seems like a winner, right? That's the kind of personality you want to have a goaltender, right? I definitely love to see it.
Yeah, it seems like he just doesn't even understand loser talk. Like he's not even going to engage in loser talk, It's just going to be like all about winning. And yeah, that's exactly what this team needs. And it's like, he's so young. The other night, it's like, we're just scratching the surface here. Like he's only going to get better as time goes on. And so it's just like, it's so amazing knowing that we have our guy. And it's like, all right, let's go now. Like, what's the next thing? Who else do we need to bring in? What moves do we need to make? Who do we need to draft? Let's have a big summer and hit the ground running next year.
He's a quote firing machine too. If I'm in the locker room, that's a kid I want to run through a wall for.
Yeah. And the media probably loves too.
Yeah, actually gives him something to talk about and process. Said the same, blah 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 loser talk all the time, right? He doesn't understand that.
Yeah, and everybody wants to consume Spencer Knight content now. So
let's hear from the coach on Monday's win against the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, I mean, he looked really good. I mean, his just calm is probably the word, right? He just looked so composed back there. He's so tight down low, and I thought he made some great puck plays, right? So I thought, yeah, a big part of it, obviously.
How much poise does that take as a human being to go traded Saturday night, here Monday, and you face 17 shots in the first period?
Probably a better question for him than for me. I haven't ever done that. No, I mean, it's obviously the circumstance, right? There's a lot going on, right? And to be a young kid like he is 23, right? So to go, I thought he obviously the first time he got traded, and I thought he was really showed some resilience and just so composed. Yeah.
Where did you see the?
Yeah.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah.
He was locked in.
Mm-hmm.
It's another Anders Sorensen
masterclass of a quote there. He gives you a ton of very clippable content. But yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, though, right? Like that's a quick turnaround for a goaltender, a quick change in a young man's developing life there, and he just seems to take the challenge head on, right? I think as it's why I said, I think if you're in his position, this is exactly what you want. You want to be the guy. You want to be thrown to the wolves as a young goaltender, right? To prove yourself, and I think he's going to get that opportunity. He's going to get that longer leash, and I'm sure he's excited for it.
Yeah, and just the way he played, he was so locked in with everything that's gone on for him, the 24 hours before that and all the stuff that's going to come after and moving to a new city and being traded for the first time. He was so locked in that game, and you could tell he wanted to put on an impressive performance. So, yeah, good to see that when the lights are bright, he's going to show up.
One of my boys at Hagel's Bagels was there in attendance, a couple others that I know, and they said they'd never seen the UC with the energy it had that night in years. It seems like he's just really awakened this fan base too. It's just been dying for something, to get around this season,
Yeah, and we put out that clip of us freaking out because we thought he got injured, and I don't know if it was on TikTok or Instagram, but somebody commented that the energy in the room almost evaporated for a second because everybody else thought he was injured too. So yeah, I mean, great to see that this kid immediately day one's got the entire building on its feet and pumped for the future.
You made a good point on Monday. You were because fans were leaving because they were winning the game 5-1, and you're don't leave, right?
Yeah.
And all the fans that the more knowledgeable fans, were the ones that stuck around and gave him praise, understanding how big of a moment this is for the franchise, and what a sign of a change in direction that this is, right? Whereas the casual fan is more the one piecing out, trying to get out early and hit the bars or something. I don't know.
Even that picture after the game where Bedard's giving Spencer Knight his stick taps, you might just gloss over that in the moment, but think about how meaningful that picture might be in a few years. That could be that was an historic moment Monday. That's the first of hopefully many wins for Spencer Knight. Could be our next Corey Crawford, even more now. This is a guy who has Vezina winning potential, right? So I think there's a lot to look forward to. A true changing of the guard here. Really the first, Hawks goaltender they've had to that caliber since Crow. So something they've been struggling to find in net, and it looks like they finally found their guy.
One of my big goals through this Chicago hockey radio thing is we all want to do it full time. We want to have full-time jobs covering the sport and the team we love, but also I'm at the end of the day, I'm a fan. I am a massive Blackhawks fan, and anything we can do to help better or change the culture is a win. And so just I know I said I address you guys on the stream, but just as fans, we can all make the energy and the culture better by paying attention to these things, stuff like that. Maybe there's not going to be a moment as big as that in coming up, but when stuff like that happens, stick around, stay here, hear the first star of the games, what he has to say to the crowd, give him the standing O, be lively at the stadiums, because the team feeds off of that. These guys want bums and
they're
seats.
sick of the negative energy all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's when stuff like this happens, be pumped up about it, and yeah, cheer these guys on when they should be.
I thought you were about to take credit for it when you're doing your victory lap yesterday after speaking that trade into existence there.
It did feel nice, but no. Kyle Davidson's got to take credit for that one. That was a fucking...
What a humble man right here. Humility, I like it.
That was pretty
extraordinarily
cool.
humble.
Getting the shout out on CHGO's post game show from
cool.
Greg.
Yeah.
Especially because they had after our show, I went on to see, they had 700 people watching, and I'm oh, that's good that he said Chicago Hockey Radio and in front of hundreds of people.
Oh my gosh, if he didn't say the name of the show.
Oh my gosh. I went on a buddy's podcast.
And one of the guys.
I think I know what Greg was doing there. Yeah, he's a beauty.
That would have shafted us.
We have a couple of more Spencer Knight clips I sent over to Raven. It's Connor Bedard talking about it, and then another one from Knight himself about wanting to get in the net. Just a short one about wanting to get in the net on Monday right away.
Fresh start. And, obviously super talented, so we're excited to have him. For sure, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I was like, I think it was my decision. I just want to play. Yeah. So.
I think the Bedard clip was a little longer. You want to try that one again?
For sure, yeah. I think obviously a very high pick and a young, goalie who's I think excited for a fresh start and obviously super talented. So we're excited to have him. For sure, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
That's it.
And that's the clip. All right.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I know Connor always with the the words of wisdom there. Yeah, so yeah, no, it was good to see him getting around his goalie there. Maybe he can take some notes there from Spencer's masterclass performance the other night.
All of the content that the Blackhawks admin was putting out of Spencer Knight was just getting me so fired up. Just like all the pictures of like him and Bedard, and then it's circulating around Twitter, just like the future.
This
and
kid's
then
got aura, man. Like he's just got something about him, like this energy he brings, like that just transmits to like the team. Like there's just something about this guy. Like he's a pro. Like he's gonna be a star in this league. I know it's only been one game, but I already feel pretty confident in saying that. Like you either have it or you don't, and I think he has it.
It's probably going to feel pretty good for Connor Bedard too, a little bit, to be like, okay, we're getting guys now like that are closer to my age and a part of my generation of this core that's going to go forward here with this. Like that, even if they keep losing, even if this season sort of just is what it is at the end of the day, it's got to feel a little bit better. That's kind of why I've been on the Kyle Davidson needs to sell this trade deadline, but like, wouldn't it also be really cool if he bought another piece or two that were going to be a part of this core for the future?
Yeah, I think like you could argue like the most important thing, like because not a lot of teams are blessed with getting a generational prospect like Bedard. The most important thing after that, you could argue there's nothing more important than having an elite starting goaltender, and we just got that guy. So for all those people who are like, oh, like Connor's going to get impatient here, it's like he's a smart guy, Connor. Like he knows what Kyle's building with this rebuild. Like that was a statement move from him. Like that's a rebuild accelerating move. And if you don't think he sees that and it pleases him, I think you're on another planet. I mean, Bedard's got a high caliber starting goaltender before McDavid. That's kind of funny.
I also just think that it's like another young, super talented player that has like a lot of hype and pressure, if we're being honest. And so I think the more of that you have on the team, the less you're just looking at Bedard. I know he's not a forward. I know he's not going to be scoring goals, but still, like having another guy on the team that like everybody's going to be talking about in, from the media to the fans. A lot of conversation is going to be about Spencer Knight now and not just Connor Bedard.
Yeah, this might be a little good for Connor. Maybe it takes a little bit of like pressure off because somebody else is going to get talked about a lot. Because that's the thing. Like when people talk about the 24-25 Chicago Blackhawks, it's Bedard and friends, right? Like the rest of the team, like it's there, but nobody really cares. It's all anybody talks about. If you're not covering the Blackhawks like we are every day, is Connor Bedard. So it's something that maybe takes a little bit of the pressure off, a little bit of the media talk away. So maybe that's a good thing for him, right? Yeah.
I'm looking at TSN's trade board right now. They have the top 32 players that they feel are trade bait right
There's
now.
Donato up there.
Donato is number 7. There are 3 Hawks in the top 24. Donato
Murphy.
at 7, Murphy at 11, and Peter Mrazek at 20
Okay.
on this list right now.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised, honestly. I kind of thought Donato would be dealt by now. It might be more of a last minute thing. Maybe it drops during our live show today. That'd be kind of funny. It'd be really funny if he was traded like right before the game today and then suit up for the Senators. That probably wouldn't happen, but because like the Senators have been the team I've seen most connected to Donato, must be said.
I think Kyle Davidson's going to let this thing ride out until the 7th, to be honest, with Donato, just because I feel like as time goes on, his value's only been increasing because there's less and less guys available. We just saw Evans get re-signed, and we just saw Trent Frederick get dealt, which I'm sure we'll get into later on the NHL hour. But I think low-key, the longer he waits, he's just going to create bidding wars, and so that's kind of what you want with Donato. As far as like Mrazek and Murphy, though, I don't know what the return's going to look like for those guys, just because they do have higher cap hits than Donato and are obviously less significant than Donato, and we don't have any retention slots left. So
maybe you do a package type of deal that gets something better for him. But Mrazek, I don't think they really care. I think they just want the package doesn't really matter. The return is irrelevant. They just want to get rid of him so they can roll that tandem. But Donato, though, like. For me, it's like I threw this out there, I think, on one of these last days. I said he should be able to get a first-round pick I don't think that's a crazy thought. I mean, Gustav Nyquist got a second. I think Trent Frederick got a second as well, I believe. Like, there's a lot of players who are far worse than Ryan Donato getting pretty high returns. Scott Lawton hasn't been dealt with, but he's been connected to, potentially getting a first rounder. If he's getting that, then I think Donato should be able to get that type of return, or at least like a pretty solid, young player in return, So,
yeah. And no, you're completely right, because it's like, not only is Ryan Donato outproduced those couple names that you mentioned this year, but he's also making significantly less money. And so it just gives teams more freedom to make other moves and make different decisions and stuff. And it's not like a super cumbersome player to bring in at this point, because he's only making $2 million a year. So I think a first round at this point is completely reasonable. And that's honestly the only thing I either want.
Second, I'm not interested at this point.
I want a first round pick, or I want like a really promising like top prospect. It's like, Tampa, Ottawa, Winnipeg, like all these names that I'm seeing that want him. All right, let's hear what prospects you're going to give us. Let's see Isaac Howard. Let's see, guys like that. Like that's what I think hopefully Kyle Davidson's trying to look for.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of like why he's probably this will probably be a last minute deal, because I'm sure he's going to hear everything, and he's not going to rush this, right? He's going to take the best possible return they could get. This isn't like the Seth Jones situation where it's like you have one team to work with. Like there's a few teams in. I'm Ryan Donato, so it's like create a bidding war with these teams, and that should help him get the best return possible for him. Yeah.
And also just the thing with Donato is like he's been so good that like if you don't get the return you want for him, try to work on a contract and re-sign him. Like he's been so good. We're gonna get into maybe a little bit more of the game against LA, but like one of my big takeaways was how good that second line is of Mikheyev, Donato, and Tavo. And we're gonna keep them together, I'd assume, for the rest of the year if Donato doesn't get dealt. So
every time they're out there, they're making plays, man.
Yeah. And they're disgusting. So it's like. Yeah, tonight, hopefully, we see another like goal and an assist out of him, another 2-point night.
Another increased trade value masterclass. My grandkids will hear all about the 24-25 Ryan Donato Linsanity run, which I'm going to keep throwing that word out there, Linsanity. As good as Donato is, like I do think this is like this stretch we've seen out of him lately, probably the best hockey he's going to play in his career. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But, it's kind of an outlier for him. But we'll see. That's why when his value is as high as it's ever be, Kyle's got to take advantage of that, right? If not, then okay. Then I'm down to keep him, because I don't want to just get crumbs back in return here. Like, like a third for Taylor Hall. Like, that's not going to do it for me. Donato's got to get a bag,
I'm also seeing some reports out there that Pat Maroon may want to stay around in Chicago for a little bit.
Oh, no. Get him out of here.
I love him so much as a guy. Like he seems like so cool, and I'm sure he's really good in that locker room. But I mean, the play is.
I don't care. I don't care what he provides in the locker room, man. He can't play. Like the guy can't play hockey. Like, no, I'm not interested in Pat Maroon. Sorry.
I'd sign him as like an assistant coach or something.
Yeah, that's cool. If he wants to do something like if he wants to stay with the team in some sort of off ice role where he's not playing hockey, I am all for that.
He's not going to stay for the team in an off ice role.
Who the hell's going to want Pat Maroon now? Like he's not an NHL player anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Every interview, like, because we talked about how he goes on Johnny Laz's show like every week. Every time I watch him on there, he's made it pretty clear in like almost every interview that like he'd like to stay in Chicago. Like from the vibe I've gotten, he'd like prefer to not get traded again. And so it's like I don't know if we're gonna be, paying him for another year. Like he's already looks like he's crawling out there. What is he gonna look like next year when he's a year older? And I don't know. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you. Something interesting. I think the lines are pretty similar tonight, but I do want to throw in there line combination number 40 for Connor Bedard. I believe if my math is correct. Doc and Slacker were swapped. Everything else is the same. Brody's still out, so that's good. And Soda and Net. But we'll see about that. I'm liking that they're keeping Nazar, Bedard. I think that's a good move. Keep those two together, right? I think those two can cook, and hopefully, Game 7 here. Hopefully hopefully this is the one where Bedard snaps out of this slump. I think it's kind of on him at this point. Like, when there comes a point where when everybody in the team is producing and you're not, it's kind of on you. Like, I don't think he's been given many favors by Sorensen. We've giving him different line mates every night, but look, he's got a consistent there. He's got Frank Nazar. He's Connor Bedard, man. He can figure it out on his own. So he's been through these slumps before and come out of it. I think when he's come out of it a better player. He's gone on a run. So I'm confident once he breaks out of it, he'll cook the rest of the year here. But I think at this point, the excuses are kind of up for me. I think he's got to make something happen. Yeah.
I honestly like the lineup. I love that Brody's out, obviously. My only issue is like Sorensen has just been like like he goes back on his word all the time. Like as far as line combinations goes, he told the media, he was like, yeah, I like to keep guys in pairs. And so that was Bedard and Bertuzzi and Nazar and Slaggert. And now like a week later, our first line is none of those pairs. It's Doc, Nazar, and Bedard. So it's like, dude, like, don't say that shit if you're just going to keep jumbling the lines. I understand rewarding Doc. I thought he had a great game against LA, and obviously that awesome assist to Anthony Siu. But it's like, dude, you can't just keep jumbling this top line every single game, because that's what it's been. It's been every single game. There's a new player rotating in and out. So
that's the one line that's been the case too. Like a lot of these lines have been consistent. Like we've seen that Tavo, Denal, Mikheyev, Maroon, Michael Smith. We've seen that all season. Yep. Why is it only the first line that gets jumbled up all the time? I don't think that's doing Bedard any favors, right? So it just kills building chemistry. You can't do that. So, but I'm glad he's keeping Nazar with him. I think that's the move, right? Yeah.
Okay, where do we want to go here?
Want to tee up the game tonight?
Yeah,
we can. Did anybody have any other thoughts on the game against LA?
LA. I mean, obviously they've gone through a bit of a rough patch here, but yeah. And I mean, unless we want to glaze Spencer Knight for 5 more minutes here, I think.
No, I want to hear what you guys think about Andreas Athanasiou. Spent the majority of the season in Rockford. I think we probably all agree that there's been worse players playing regularly on the roster this season.
I don't think he needed to be in Rockford the last 16 games to rehab from his injury. I don't think that was really necessary. I think his speed, his talents that he has, I think he's a good guy to play with guys like that. So I'm glad he's back up here with the team. I mean, a couple of years ago, he was playing pretty well here. His problem has been staying healthy, right? That's been Athanasiou's downfall. So it's like, we have him up here in that contract. Like, may as well take advantage of it. And I think, I agree with you. I think with his talents, like, I'd rather see him out there than, Pat Maroon. I think he at least provides some value on the ice. So yeah, that's my thought.
And I like that third line of Bertuzzi, Athanasiou, and Slaggert. So we'll see what they can do tonight. It does just make me like, Athanasiou has been in Rockford this whole time, and then immediately gets to play on the third line. Like Lucas Reichel's been with the Blackhawks all season.
That's one thing. It's like
strapped to that fourth line.
I would like to see those two together, because those two have shown a lot of chemistry when they played together the past couple of years, Athanasiou and Reichel. So yeah, I'd like to see those two paired together at some point with Sorensen, but Reichel's kind of a staple to that fourth line all season. So my expectations are low there.
Senators need to win. Like, this is...
Yeah.
I watched Brady Tkachuk
must-win game for them.
I watched Brady Tkachuk on Part of My Take today. And he's hungry. Like, obviously the discussion was around the Four Nations, and that's why they had him on. And, they're in Chicago right now, which is why he went on the show. But like, he was mentioning that, like, this is the first time in his career that they're this close, and that they're playing these important games this late into the season. And, like, this is a guy that's built for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And, he's been saying this a lot when asked about the Senators, where it's like, I would take us in a 7-game series against anybody. And obviously everybody feels that way about their squad probably. But, I just, like, this is so big for them. Like, a win tonight and the Rangers losing in regulation, like, the Senators are back in the playoff spot. And their names are out there. Like, Steve Stamkos his name is out there as a, player in the market right now. Like, there are rumors about Frank Saravalli said something about Josh Norris maybe being on the move. And
Josh Norris, you say?
I wouldn't mind Josh Norris on the Hawks.
that was one of my like trade proposals.
What about Shane Pinto?
Like a Norris.
He's too important to the team.
A Norris for Donato, even though you'd say that Norris's value is
so banged up.
The thing is, though, is his contract is like almost $8 million, and so it's like
he's never healthy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you just wouldn't want him?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't.
Would you rather have a first rounder then?
I would rather have a first rounder. I'd rather Isaac Howard on the team.
Yeah. You think the Lightning are probably? Yeah, the Lightning are another team that's been on Donato, I'm pretty sure. Not the same extent to the Senators, but I know they ran out of forward. It makes sense for Donato to be on the radar.
What about like a Yakimchuk?
They're not trading.
There's no way. They would be stupid. They're not doing that.
The kid they just picked 6th overall or 5th overall. Yeah, that's not happening.
How about your boy?
Do you want to win right now? Do you want to win right now? Do you want to make the playoffs? You're right there. Do you want to do it?
This isn't, you know.
I'm just asking how badly they want it.
Want Ryan Donato? Dude, I know you're playing around right now, but
Yeah, he's definitely riling you up. But I will say though, like the Hawks, the Senators are a team that the Hawks have tended to own in recent memory and kind of had their numbers. So, I don't think this will be by any means, an easy dub for these Senators to like help them out in this playoff race. I think especially the way this Hawks team is kind of stepping out of the slump here. It's like I think this could be quite a cinematic game tonight for the Midwest Coast Brewing live show. I'm quite excited for it. Yeah.
This is also, first of all, sorry to cut you off. This is the last game for both sides before Friday's deadline.
That's right. Yeah, it could be Ryan Donato's last game as a Blackhawk. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Not just him. It could be a few. Yeah.
Yeah, so let Donato absolutely cook them tonight and then them be like, we need that guy.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you think if he doesn't put up an absolute masterclass, another multi-point effort, that the Senators don't see that and be like, yeah, okay, we'll give you what you want, Kyle. I think so. I think that's what I want to see.
To your point, Justin, about the Blackhawks owning the Senators, Chicago is 17-3-1 in their last 21 games against the Senators, but that goes back to 2010. Most of the players obviously were not around for that.
Hey, I was onto something there. I knew it, man. But even these shitty Hawks teams the last few years have been beating them. So I don't know, man. I think the Senators, man, they can't take us lightly. I don't think they will. I think they can't afford to take us lightly. I think with them too, it helps that the Red Wings are kind of in a free fall here, right? So that kind of helps their situation. But the Rangers have suddenly seemed to got it figured out. So. And the Canadians have suddenly won 5 in a row. So like that East wild card race is all over the place. Dude.
Yeah, with how tight that race is, the Ottawa Senators cannot afford to take any team lightly. Like they see a team like us, their mentality should be like we got to beat the fuck out of these guys because we know we're gonna have tough games down the stretch, and this one shouldn't really be one if they play their best game.
Like, this is a game you got to come away with the 2 points. Like that's 100%. Yeah.
Tim Stützle is on a 12-game point streak. He has 18 points in that span, so that's pretty good.
Jimmy Stützle, Timmy.
Yeah.
Timmy.
He can become the 4th player in Ottawa Senators history with a point streak of at least 13 games, joining
Alfredson, Hossa.
Hossa, Heatley,
Carlson,
Drake Batherson.
Okay.
Hossa, Heatley, Drake Batherson.
Damn,
dude.
Drake Batherson.
Not to like.
He's underrated, man.
He is.
Yeah.
Not a big contract either.
After the Four Nations, a lot of my YouTube algorithm was like old Team Canada compilations of like goals, like all the goals from 2010 Olympics, all the goals from 2006, right? All the goals from 2002. The World Cup and whenever they did the not the last World Cup, but the one before that. I think it was 2004. Danny Heatley was so good at hockey. Like just like he was
prime Heatley, a back-to-back 50 goal season, 100-point seasons.
Real, dude. Like, and even in best on best, like he was still like one of the guys shooting it in the net. Like, just was an awesome hockey player.
Yeah, one of the most random like fall-offs in his career. Like his prime was something else, and that just went off a cliff.
Yeah. Yeah, he bounced around a lot near the end, and I think he was like in Florida for a little bit too, and yeah, I don't know, but he was like prime Heatley was just
he was something else.
It's hilarious that your algorithm is just Heatley edits.
He's so real for that, honestly. That's a blast in the past right there. Bit unrelated, but sort of is like another legend in the game, Claude Giroux. He still looks weird in Ottawa to me. Like I know he's like from that area and stuff. He's been there for a bit now, but he's one of those guys that just looks weird and like not with the Flyers, man. Like I don't know. Like but he's been a good piece there. Like he's fit in well. He's still playing good hockey at his age. I think he quietly been one of the more underrated players of his era. Like he's always been. Like, he's well over 1,000 points. Just such a good two-way player, and I feel like he never really gets the praise compared to some of the guys he's been around with. I don't know.
Yeah, I look at that group and I just like you need more scoring, I think.
Yeah, but you got a good top 6 here. I mean, I like in this first line here to Chuck, Stützle, Giroux, and I mean Norris when he's healthy is good, but when he's healthy, you got Pinto in that third line. Batherson is very underrated. Perron's been I don't know how I think he's been okay fit. I'm not sure, but then this bottom 6 here, it's a little
it's
I think Donato would fit in really well on this third line right here. Shane Pinto,
you got Adam Gaudette as your 4th line center,
having an awesome season.
I got that Blackhawks legend, by the way. Matthew Highmore. I didn't realize he was on the Senators too. That's another Blackhawks legend. But yeah, there's a few guys here. It's like, man, Donato, you put him in here, and all of a sudden, even even like Donato, like on the second line with like Batherson and Norris, that would be a good second line.
Yep.
I think he's having a better season than Perron. I think so.
Adam Gaudette has 16 goals in 59 games this season.
He's 60. Wow.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with his game.
Yeah. The hockey god, as they
The
call
hockey
him.
god. That's right. I was low-key kind of upset with the Hawks trade him. Like, I thought he could be a good piece.
Also, by the way,
Did he
Ryan
win
Donato,
Hobie Baker?
I don't know if he won the Hobie Baker.
I think he did. I'm pretty sure I cooked at that one.
I was just going to say that Ryan Donato's been having a better year than like pretty much
He did win the
everybody.
Hobie Baker.
He has 18 even strength goals, which is more than guys like McDavid, McKinnon,
Yeah.
etc. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
having outside of like Stützle and Kachuk.
Somebody
and Batherson.
Somebody said in the chat, do we hold out Ryan Donato today for like trade-related reasons? I would say if we weren't playing the Ottawa Senators, the fact that that's a team that's really in them right now, I think you probably want to play him tonight, just to kind of get some last-minute boosting in there if they're a little unsure, raise that value. But is there a point to that?
I think if they don't play him tonight, it's because he's getting dealt tonight.
Today, yeah.
Yeah.
But if we think this is a last-minute trade deadline situation, he's going to play today. But if it's not, then that'll be very telling. I think he was at morning skates, so there's that. But there's still things to
with the
change.
form he's been on, like another game is just gonna boost.
Like,
his
he's not a
value.
heater. Like, if he plays tonight, he's a lock for
point.
He's a lock. Like Donato, anytime goal, anytime player, prop, whatever. Like, lock it in. Like, he's doing something. Like, he's just been that automatic lately. Every game he's producing. The guy's been playing with Tavo. I mean, you look at Tavo's been like one of the top producers in the NHL the past
since
30
like
games or
December.
something like that. Since December, like I think he's like 14th or something like that. Like, you look at his name on that list, it looks like a polar bear in Arlington, Texas. But it's like Tavo's quietly been cooking, man. He's 1 point behind Bedard for the team's scoring lead right now. Donato's like 3 away. It's like,
And that's like playing middle 6 minutes.
yeah,
too.
it's not like he's been like on the top line either. He's been playing in the defensive line. He's still putting up those numbers. I mean, sure, he's been the peeper, but still, like, he's been a good sign. We gotta give Kyle props to that because I know a lot of his offseason signings haven't panned out. Tavo has absolutely been a fantastic signing. Like, there's no question about that.
And like I know we thought that he was going to play with Bedard, and he just like really hasn't much this season. But still, like what he's done is exactly what we were hoping he was going to do when bringing him in and signing him to the contract that we gave him.
I will say this: when and not if Donato is done, which I still think is inevitable. I think we got to move Donato, or not Donato. You got to move Tavo back up there with Bedsy because the only really time they played together, even strength this year, was the start of the season in October, and they looked good. Like, they were playing well together. That was probably Bedard's best hockey of the year. And then they haven't really gone back to it. The only time they play together is a power play. So I think when that move happens, I want to see Tavo. I want to see a Tavo, Bedard, and Nazar line. I think that would be absolute cinema.
My only thing about that is that we just come on to the show and complain all the time about how they're constantly reshuffling Bedard's lines, and then we're like, "Hey, how about this reshuffling of Bedard's
we have no
lines?"
choice, man. Like, what you think? I don't know. You think Landon Slaggert and Colton Docker first line players? Like, I love those guys, but no. Like, we brought in Teravainen and he's cooking. Like, logically, it makes sense to play him with Bedard. Like, they're your top 2 producers. But I understand what you're saying. But when you do that, you keep them together. You that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
You don't go back on it, which is what Sorensen loves to do, just like Luke.
Yeah, I have no faith that we're going to see consistent line combos for Bedard to finish the year.
Nope.
I think it's going to be a reshuffling every single night, and we should just get used to it. But
is there a single player this team he hasn't played with at some point this year? Probably Maroon and Smith. That's probably it.
But he's definitely gone out and like double shifted with those guys.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, right, correct. Yeah.
I mean, he's got to snap out of this thing.
Yeah, it's got to happen. It's going to happen. I'm not worried about it, but it's like 6 games that's not an insignificant amount of time, right? So that extends, since we've gotten back from those 4 nations, man. He scored that goal in Columbus that first game that I was there. I witnessed it, and then it was called off, man. I want to find that ref, man, right now. How different things would be if that goal stood, but as Max Verstappen would say, it's always if, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to start ripping it, to be honest. I feel like he's almost trying to do too much, and he's like thinking about it a little too much. It's like, just go out there and play, keep it simple, and get pucks on net, because so many times he's entering the zone and he's like trying to look for the coolest pass he can. And it's like, dude, sometimes you just got to shoot it to at least keep him honest. Like, even if you're not going to score, shoot it just so that the defenseman in front of you think you probably going to do that next time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it for so long. Be more selfish, man. Honestly, like just shoot the puck. I don't know. Yeah. Like, it's too predictable the deferring to line mates. It hasn't really been working out either anyway. So, he's a good enough player, talented enough to make things happen on his own. So, like, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Hopefully Nazar can help create a little bit for him.
Yeah,
too,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, for sure. Nazar's he's been playing really well coming out of this Four Nations break. So I do hope that keeping that connection together will be what gets him out of this for sure.
My only, like, Nazar's been so good, but my only gripe with him is just like the finishing. I feel like
That'll come.
It will, I know, but I'm just talking about as far as right now goes, and like you want Connor Bedard to get out of this slump, and it's like you've got two, really high skill, good passers that are both unable to score goals right now.
They're all Swedish, no Finnish.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Yeah,
that's fair. Maybe a Tavo, Bedard, Donato line. Get the two guys in the team that have been finishing consistently and just put them up there. It's too easy.
Yeah, let's completely reshuffle the entire lineup. Let's do that.
I guess I'm being a little hypocritical, but like, yeah, stop fucking up the lines. Oh yeah, why haven't we tried this? Why haven't we tried that? I don't know, man.
Maybe Doc can rip one in tonight.
I like what I've seen out Colin Doc since he's been called back up. That you're right. You referenced it earlier. That play he made to set up Athanasiou, the Greek god, for the goal against the Kings. Beautiful play, and he's been all over. He's been physical. He's been all over the puck. Love what I've seen out of him. So, and his team's just going to keep getting younger, man. Especially post trade deadline as we ship out more unks. A lot to look forward to here.
I'm getting absolutely called out in chat by my coworker. He said, "I remember Lee calling for Tavo having 100 points this season."
I remember that too. Well, that was after that Oilers game. I think we were both maybe we were on something that post game. But like, yeah, that was quite the prediction right there. Well, I said Bedard would have 100 points this year, and no, he doesn't even have half that. Right now, he has about half that. So
but to be fair to us, that was to be fair. Those two guys were playing with each other at the beginning of the season for the first few games, and then
that's the only time all year they played together.
Never gone back to it.
No, I don't understand it. It boggles my mind.
I said that because I thought Tavo was going to be on the first power play unit, which he has been all year, and he's been really good on. But then also that he'd be playing on the first line all year, and he hasn't. He's been playing on the third line, like pretty much the bulk of this season, and a lot of times with guys like Jason Dickinson and Ilya Mikheyev. So it's like if he played the whole year with like Bedard and Bertuzzi, I think he'd have even more points than he does now.
Yeah, I don't think when you said 100, I'm pretty sure you're being. I don't think
it was
you're
a little
being
tongue in
serious,
cheek.
too. You were definitely even I was like, "What are you on, man?" Yeah. I think I said 70 points was realistic for Tavo this year. Which if he played with Bedard all year, honestly, the way he's producing right now, that might not be out of question. Honestly, 70 points for Tavo, that would be around a career high for him. Yeah, I think.
I was cooking with that take.
Yeah, no delusion, even more delusional than me.
I was saying that I definitely said that he could have a career year.
That's which is fair. I mean, I think, for sure. Yeah.
A couple of points here. One from the chat that I just think is something that we don't really talk about enough with Connor Bedard and other players. You're struggling to score goals. You know where goals are scored?
In that
front of the net.
Yeah.
Go to the net. He does not go to the net.
He's just not really built for that.
but sometimes you got to do it.
Yeah,
you still got to do it. Even if you know you're going to eat a couple cross checks in the back, like go to the dirty areas, like go pick up a couple of greasy goals, like tap in a couple of rebounds. Like if you're really trying to get yourself going, that's the way to do it. Like you're not going to score these like wrist shots from 25 feet out. Like you gotta,
and it's also
go to the net.
It's not even just like trying to like skate to the front of the net and put a screen up and like tip the puck. It's like when he has the puck, drive it to the net.
Drive the net.
And he like never does that.
Take it to the hoop.
Yeah.
Yep.
He needs a little more pace. Like, I think he'd be able to do that more if he was quicker. Yeah.
Also reading, I'm just like scouring all the different trade boards right now. Nick Kyprios is generally pretty on it. Right now at the top of his trade board list is
Ryan Donato.
Mikko Rantanen.
Oh, Mikko Rantanen. And the last Ryan Donato.
Oh my God.
Mikko Rantanen is at the top of his trade board list.
You imagine?
And the last time Mikko Rantanen was at the top of his trade board list, everybody was like, why is Mikko Rantanen at the top of your trade board list? And then boom, he was gone.
I still think it's just such a dumb thing for them to do.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So where do you think he's going?
I don't think he's going. I think he's staying in Carolina.
Okay. So you don't think Nick Kyprios is being delusional there? Yeah.
I think he's hearing what he hears. Like, I think teams are calling about Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, no question.
They're probably shopping him,
Yeah.
But I think it's unlikely that they get the return that doesn't make them look like fools.
You can't go back on a trade like that, man.
Yeah.
Like that'd be so dumb.
It'd be so bad.
Like, I'm thinking about the teams that would be in on Mikko Rantanen. The Maple Leafs being one, the Dallas Stars being another, maybe the Florida Panthers. And, like You think the Maple Leafs are going to give up Matthew Nyes from the chance at Mikko Rantanen? Like, no.
Yeah.
You know, like, who are the Dallas Stars going to give up? Now, Dallas probably, you know, but we're talking like picks and prospects for a team that wants to win the Stanley Cup in Carolina, too. Like, they feel internally that they have as good of a chance as anybody else, right? Even if maybe the outsiders don't really believe that about them.
But also, even if they were able to get like a Matthew Nyes from Toronto or like a Logan Stankoven from Dallas, those guys, I'm sorry, you might disagree with me here, but those guys aren't as good as Marty Necas. So it's like you still lost. Like, even if you're able to get one of those guys that we just said probably not going to happen, you still lost. So you still look like a fool. I'm so excited to ask this question at the live show tonight and kind of see everybody's perspective on it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I truly believe that you look less stupid if you just treat him like a rental and let him walk for nothing at the end of the year.
I agree.
Than trading him again.
At least you could say you went all in for the cup and you didn't go back. No half measures, only full measures.
He does have Ryan Donato on his list, although further down than the one spot.
What was it, 7 or something?
I don't know. It's not really like ranked out. He has big pictures, and then so I will read a little bit from this. Donato is having a career season, as we all know. Now with 21 goals, 22 assists, the team leader in even strength goals and points. If there is one thing to be aware of, though, it's that Donato's shooting percentage is also at a career high. So this level of production may yet slow down, but he's a feisty player. One of Chicago's team leaders in hits. He wins just over 45% of his draws, but can also be used on the wing, obviously, and we all know he's pending UFA, just $2 million against the cap. So the team's like...
He is literally the perfect rental option.
Yeah.
Like, under the radar guy, been playing great this year. Plays two ways. Like, he's good in the board battles.
Versatile, he can do it all.
He can do literally everything.
Center
He
of
can
the
play
wing.
on the wing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can't absolutely commit a heist with this guy.
You're selling high.
Yes.
You're
You're
selling
selling
high.
high as hell, dude.
Yeah.
There's another point too. It's like, you know, he's been playing kind of top 6 minutes with the Hawks, not all season, but for most of it. So like, he's not going to. Obviously, we know he's probably not going to produce the way he is now. If, you know, a contender is probably going to be in the bottom 6, but they don't need to know that, right? He can kind of play anywhere. You know, that's the kind of it's just a nice thing, a nice luxury.
Yeah. I want a promising prospect, an NHL like ready prospect, damn near, or a first round pick.
Yeah,
and
like
if
a
it's
top
not,
pick, not a mid rounder or anything.
and
like
if it's
that,
and if it's not, get the negotiators ready.
yeah, then make him, you know, a part of this burgeoning core. You know, like that thing. I think both these options, like I could see positives to both. So if you do it right, you know, yeah, for sure.
All right. Anything else before we go to break?
Let's see here. I think we kind of covered a lot here.
Yeah,
probably good. Yeah,
Good for me.
All right. Let's hit a quick break. We're going to welcome Brian Garfield on the other side. And stick around. More Chicago Hockey Radio.
Welcome back.
Chicago Hockey Radio NHL Hour. Justin Lynchley, Grassman, Tassos Kirkos, welcoming in now Brian Garfield.
What is up, guys?
Big Florida Panthers guy. Thanks for joining the show, Brian. How you doing, brother?
Thanks, man. I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. Flip your camera the other way.
Damn. Okay.
There you go. Live from the car. It's Brian
Yeah,
Garfield.
in the car.
I'm
not driving. We're being safe.
Oh, now you're flipped the wrong way. It's all right. It's all right. We'll figure it out. So
It's a mess here. There's nowhere to put it.
there we go. That's
Perfect.
the way
You
we
can
want
just
it.
hold it if you need to.
All right, I'm holding it. I'm
That's
holding
perfect.
it.
There we go. That looks good.
There we go.
We're good.
So obviously big trade between the Florida Panthers and the Chicago Blackhawks. The Panthers acquire Seth Jones. They ship off a conditional 2026 first round pick and goaltender Spencer Knight. Both players made their debut Monday night. We're a Blackhawk show, so we'll start with the Blackhawk side of things. Obviously, we kind of saw what we were getting in Spencer Knight here from his first game, but from somebody that's just been watching this guy way more closely than we have the last few seasons, what are the Blackhawks getting with Knight?
Spencer Knight's cool. I never played goalie. I'm not a goalie guy. You know that. I think I played one career game in net. It was a game against 8-year-olds when I was 17. So,
How'd you
not a
do?
goalie expert. I think I let in 2. I think we lost 2-1. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not gonna give you the big, spiel on how he is technically. I think but I can give you like the mentality. Oh,
Did we lose him?
Oh, we lost.
am I there?
Lost
Oh
him.
boy.
Wait.
Oh,
am I
he's
back?
back. He's back.
He's back. He's back.
All right.
You're doing
Yeah.
great so far, Brian.
Yeah.
Your live show.
Car
Car
dealership thing
field.
called me right now.
Live show
Okay.
debut. Spencer Knight.
Back ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're live, brother.
Okay. So Spencer Knight has a good mentality, I think, for Chicago. He's kind of like when he came into Florida, it was like when he was 19, right? He stop.
Oh.
No?
Oh, yeah. What's going on, brother?
There?
Put that thing
Spam
on
calls,
airplane
like-
mode. Do not disturb.
Do not disturb.
Oh my gosh! All right.
All right. I think I'm good now.
All right. We finally got you.
Gotcha.
All right. This
Okay.
is strike 2. This is strike 2.
Javi
I excel at
Baez
hitting
about
with 2
now.
pitches. I can hit with 2 pitches. So Spencer Knight has a cool mentality, I think, for Chicago. I think he wants to be a guy, which he sounded like that right when he came into Florida. They kind of asked him a couple times, and Florida media, it's pretty softball questions. They were like, "Oh, how's it feel to like come in and play?" And he's like, I don't let the emotions get too high, too low. I just kind of do my thing. So I think he's going to be good with that Chicago team. I don't think the tough situation right now is going to kind of bug him. I think he'll just try to be there and stop as many pucks as he can. And I think that's cool for them. And I think it's good for him to kind of just get going really in his career. He doesn't have to wait for the Panthers to make a decision or Bob. So he's just kind of good to go now. And I'm excited for him and the Blackhawks there.
As a Florida Panthers fan, how do you feel about the trade overall? Because I know that most of the sentiment on social media was obviously that the Blackhawks won the trade just because of the Jones contract, and kind of he's been dragged through the mud for the past couple years because of the contract. And obviously Spencer Knight is like one of the highest touted young goaltenders on the planet. But how do you feel about it? Because I know Seth Jones in that team, at $7 million instead of 9.5 is going to be good, but are you still bummed about it?
How excited are you for Seth Jones?
Yeah, definitely not bummed about it. I think it's like the perfect kind of fit for the Panthers. He's exactly what they've been missing when they lost Montour, that like right shot D. He can Ekblad, they still have Ekblad running the power play. I'm curious to see how long that lasts. But yeah, they needed a right-handed D on that second pair with Mikkola. They had Kulikov kind of punching above his weight. So now they got someone who kind of fits in there, like where he should. The $7 million, it's like If it was 6, I'd like it better. I think 7's kind of like the highest point you can get Seth Jones at. But I do trust Paul Maurice is going to kind of get a little extra value out of Seth Jones that he hasn't really been getting with Chicago. And I think worst case scenario, it's going to be okay. That contract, especially.
Does, you and I were texting a little bit after the trade broke. Panthers have 2 important pending UFAs in Aaron Ekblad and Sam Bennett. I know you kind of feel like that this doesn't impact the Aaron Ekblad situation going forward. I'm curious, just, you sharing a bit more on that.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think maybe it gives the Panthers a little bit more of an out, but it also I think they want Ekblad, and I think Ekblad wants to be there. And I do think it's just kind of up to Ekblad if he's going to take the Panthers number. And I would be surprised if the Panthers number has changed because of this. Because I think they could have filled him with a cheaper option with or without Seth Jones. And they needed to get 2 guys anyway. So I don't really think it's going to impact Aaron Ekblad. It's kind of like everyone kind of like just drawing the conclusion, oh, right shot D, he's replacing Ekblad. I don't really think it's that simple.
So what's the plan with the goaltending here? Because obviously still got Bobrovsky, who's still one of the best goaltenders in this league. Very clutch come playoff time. We've seen it. But he's not getting any younger, right? And Spencer Knight, you would have thought would have been the next in line there for Florida starter. Now he's gone. And I know you guys just traded for Vanacek, but probably to back up Bobrovsky. But it's like, what's the future plan you think for goaltending? Find another Knight in the draft? Or, yeah, what's going to happen there?
I don't think anybody in the draft is going to be ready to take over when Bob leaves. So I don't think that's the plan. I think it's kind of just see what's available when it's Bob's time to go. Because and that's kind of the thing with Knight too, where the Panthers really didn't have that much value in Spencer Knight because that contract was bad for them. First of all, he wasn't giving them $4.5 million worth of goaltending. So it was like a bad contract for the Panthers, not bad for the Blackhawks, definitely. So, and I don't think they were 100% sold that oh, Bob's just going to leave and Spencer Knight's going to be ready to be the starting goaltender for a championship team. So I think they felt like they had to figure it out anyway, and now they just don't have Knight, and it's just one option taken away.
What do you think the Panthers still need to do? Do you think that there's another move here to be made? Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk was placed on LTIR, so they have about $8 million to work with here before Friday. And, that being if he doesn't suit up before the regular season ends and the playoffs begin, which is what I think a lot of people in South Florida are thinking right now with Matthew Tkachuk. Do you think Bill Zito has some more tricks up his sleeve?
I think he's going to look for it. I think maybe another forward. I don't know really where he would go on defense with another move. Kind of logjam there. I think Schmidt and Kulikov's kind of a great third pair to go into the playoffs with. So I think it would definitely be another forward, specifically a winger, probably with, you got Bennett and Lundell on the second and third center. So if there's a winger that he really likes, I could see a Jason Zucker maybe. That would make sense to me. But I don't, people want a fantasy book like the Mikko Rantanen thing. I don't think we're going there. It's just, I don't think Bill Zito's going to spend those kind of assets. And what are you going to trade Mackie Samoskevich for that? I don't know. But yeah, I think second, third line winger. And I don't even think it's a need, more of a luxury that we can afford now that Kachuk's on LTIR.
So you think that there is a possibility where they're done here before the deadline?
I think it's a better chance than people think that they don't really do much with this. I think Zito, he just has the flexibility now, and there's no rush to bring Tkachuk back while he's, fixing this groin, which I'm pretty sure is okay based on what Maurice said. He'll be back for the playoffs.
What do you see happening with Sam Bennett as far as the contract goes next year in this offseason?
I think Sam Bennett's more likely gone than Ekblad. They paid Lundell a pretty big penny in the offseason. And for Hagee's getting paid, Reinhardt's getting paid. So it's I think there's less of a hole if Sam Bennett leaves. So that's kind of where I think the Panthers might lose their UFAs.
How do you feel about the Panthers' chances of going back-to-back here?
I think we should be the favorites in the East again.
I agree.
I mean, yeah, Carolina is just not really meshing right now, and Jersey's pretty broken, and I don't think anyone's really scared of Washington, and we know about Toronto. So, I think we should be.
What do you think about that, Tassos?
Sorry, Tassos. Yeah, but yeah, I think we should be the favorites again. I don't like, and you see Dallas or Vegas or Colorado in the finals, and I think we're kind of just in the mix with all those teams and a coin flip there.
Yeah, do you think overall that like the top teams in the West are better than the top teams in the East?
Yeah, I think maybe the top is a little bit. The top in the West is definitely a little bit more like there's a couple more teams. You probably got 4 teams in the West you can consider like serious cup contenders. I think the East is a little deeper right now with like teams that couldn't make the playoffs and maybe teams you wouldn't want to play in the first round. Yeah, so I think East deeper, West a little heavy, like a little heavier at the top.
Do you worry, just like finishing the season, if you guys finish, second or third, you're probably going to be playing Tampa first round and then Toronto second round. That doesn't concern you at all?
No, these guys have done it, honestly. They've played that gauntlet already. And this is a better variation of the team that went to the finals the first time. So I don't think worried. I think it's just kind of, those are tough teams and it'll be a good series. I think Tampa is really underrated. I think I told you that, Tassos, when I came on your other show before the season. I really like Tampa and they've looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a tough series, I think. But I would pick the Panthers.
What else are you looking at? Like, what other teams, moving off the Panthers for a second here, before Friday, like, is there a team that you're looking at that maybe needs to make a move or maybe something that like could come as a surprise to many people? What is maybe something that's on your radar before Friday?
I don't want to see New Jersey give up. I feel like they're kind of reeling right now and people are like, oh, they're going to miss the playoffs. I don't want to see them give up. I think barring any information on the Jack Hughes, if he's going to be back, I think that's a very fixable team. They kind of just need 1 or 2 guys in that bottom 6 that can put the puck in the net, and I think they're like a serious team. I don't want to see New Jersey give up. I think they should really go.
If Jack Hughes is out for the rest of the year, though, what do you do if you're New Jersey?
Cooked.
You pack it in because you're not winning the cup without Jack Hughes.
See ya.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
You guys got anything else?
I would say, like, what are your? I mean, you kind of got into a little bit. What are your expectations of Seth Jones? Like, obviously, it appears he doesn't have to be the guy here. Like, he can be a good, solid second pair guy, play 20 minutes. He doesn't have to play 25, 30 minutes a night like he did some nights in Chicago. I think could be good in the special teams as well, both the PK and PP. But what are you expecting out of Seth Jones? I'd say. What do you want to see out of him?
Honestly, what I saw last game was pretty like what we need. I think if he can increase the like transition defense specifically, he had some struggles with that like for a while now. I want to see him because the Panthers defend transition really well. I don't want that to like be hindered when Seth Jones is on the ice. I trust him in the defensive zone kind of. He can, especially with Mikkola. Mikkola flies around out there and gets the puck out. And if Seth Jones can bring, a little bit of offense from the back end and really give the Panthers a guy that they don't have to. I'm sick of this like revolving door on the power play. Just like if he can just stabilize that and run the power play for a couple of years and play solid second pair, that's what the Panthers need. And they're not going to be too worried about the $7 million if he's doing that.
Do you like him and Mikkola as a pair?
Yeah, I think it's pretty ideal for Seth Jones. I think he's not really the same type of player as Brandon Montour, but they're kind of doing the same thing. Yeah. And I think Mikkola did really well with that. And honestly, Mikkola and Kulikov played pretty well. So I think Seth Jones will find Mikkola very fun to play with.
Yeah.
All right.
Seeing it. Yeah.
All right, Brian. Appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
Means a lot.
Thank you very much.
Glad we
Thanks,
finally
guys.
got
Thanks for fighting through the Yeah, thanks for fighting through the technical difficulties.
No, good.
It's
no.
all right. You hit on your third pitch, so that's all that matters.
He was clutch, just like Spencer Knight.
Nukes.
All right. Later, Brian. That was Brian Garfield. Thank you for stopping by the program again. Means a lot. Shares a little bit of insight on the Florida Panthers. His uncle Jeff Chikrin is a what do you call it? Like an in-studio host for the Florida Panthers broadcast, and his cousin is Jacob Chikrin, who is lighting up the back end for the Washington Capitals.
No way. That's so cool.
Funny that he said he doesn't think anybody's scared of the Capitals right now.
That's a little bit of a throwing shade there, which I think I would tend to agree with that. I think we've both said it. I think we're not really fully sold on them. Yeah.
So do you guys think Sam Bennett, like he seems to think Sam Bennett's gone?
Yeah, just like with that, like just the contracts that they're gonna have to offer, and the guys that they're paying with that Verhaeghe contract kicking in next year, it seems like they're gonna either be able to pay Sam Bennett or Ekblad and not both. And just like he's making 4.4 right now, Sam Bennett. That number's going to go up. You got to assume that it's going to be even more than Lindell, which is over 5. So I would assume he's looking for that like 7 range.
I think a team would go as high as 8 or 9.
Yeah. So if when he goes to free agency, I think you're right.
Yeah, I think Sam Bennett will get a bigger bag than Ekblad. But don't you think with this Jones acquisition, it would make more sense to keep Bennett versus Ekblad?
Yes and no, because if you lose Aaron Ekblad, then Seth Jones almost gets stuck in the same situation he was in here. Obviously, like, Gus Forsling is the top guy there. Yeah. Like he's
Blackhawks
the top
legend.
He's the top dog in Florida. But, if you now with Ekblad, you're able to insulate Seth Jones a little bit more. It's not first power play unit, it's second power play unit. It's not first pair minutes, it's second pair minutes. It's not 25 minutes, it's 20. You know what I mean? And then you lose Aaron Ekblad, and suddenly you're putting Seth Jones in a position where the team's like, we all think Florida's
him again.
He's got to be him again
Yeah.
on a team that has more expectations too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Florida's going to see a significant drop off next season either, really.
No. And also you got, like, if you've watched Anton Lindell, that kid has all the makings to be a legit second line center in the league. Yeah. And I think they expect that out of him. And so, like, if you extend Bennett for several years, and then all of a sudden 2 years from now Lindell is better than Bennett, and you're paying your third line center $7.2 million, that's not super ideal.
That's a fair point.
But I would say that, like, to like a regular team though, I think that Sam Bennett offers more value than Aaron Ekblad.
Okay, yeah, fair. I was gonna say I feel like Sam Bennett is so important to those Panthers playoff teams. Like I feel like that's a tough hole to fill. Like they have guys like that who bring that physicality, but not to the nature that Bennett does. Like he's just such a dog, a playoff guy for that team.
He's an agitator.
I would argue he's more important to the Panthers than Aaron Ekblad, maybe.
It's different.
The current Aaron Ekblad, prime Ekblad, but I know he's still good. But I feel like his best days are a little behind him here, whereas Bennett's still got he's kind of his prime here.
Now the difference for me too in how they're gonna, like, Aaron Ekblad's been a Florida Panthers whole career, picked first overall. Won a Stanley Cup with them. If either of them is more likely to take a hometown discount,
it would be him.
It would be him.
Ekblad. That's fair. Yeah, you think Bennett was going to want a bag.
Yeah, like he's going to want to go out there. This is his time to cash in free agency, and
and especially since like all those other forwards have all been recently paid, you think he's just going to be like, no, I'll take 6. No
way.
Yeah,
that would be a big hole to fill in that blue line too. Now that I think about it, actually, I might be changing my mind already. Because like there's more guys who could fill in here in this offense. A lot of these guys are only going to get better too, like the Lindells, etc. So you could easily find someone to kind of maybe not bring what Bennett does, but at least fill the production void.
Because if you get rid of Ekblad, all of a sudden you got to go back and try to re-sign Adam Boquist or something.
You need Seth Jones to be your number 1D in there. I don't think that's going to pan out there.
How I never even thought about this. So the Panthers lost Adam Boquist on waivers to the Islanders about a month ago. Remember?
Right. Yeah. Did they sign Jesper Boquist?
They re-signed. They had both guys.
That's
they
right.
just re-signed Jesper yesterday to a 2-year contract extension. But if they hadn't placed Adam on waivers and lost him, Seth Jones and Adam Boquist would have been on the same team.
That would have been so funny, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, you got to hang on to Aaron Ekblad, in my opinion. Sam Bennett, you can almost replace not exactly, but like keep in mind in Florida too, now, especially now that Knight's gone, the cupboard is pretty bare. You've shipped out first round picks for the next 2
They don't have a
seasons.
ton of assets.
It's all now. Yeah, win now.
Their brightest young prospect is on the NHL roster, and Mackie Samoskevich too. So yeah, I just it'll be interesting to see. I like I said, I agree with Brian that they should be the favorites in the East right now, and you've been saying that for a while too.
You still get the sense like their window is open for a while.
A while.
This isn't like a last hurrah type of deal.
No,
like,
not at all.
A lot of these guys are in their primes here, so not a lot of good hockey left in them. So I mean, yeah, like they don't really have much in the cupboard, but like they're all here, right? So I think they'll be in the contending for a while here, just like their Florida counterparts in Tampa.
And keep in mind too that Bobrovsky contract's going to come off the board. Like that's $10 million against the cap.
True.
Yeah, I'm just still curious what's going to happen with the goaltending there. I mean,
you'll have 10 million, like if there's a UFA goalie that you can pick up, you'll have as much money as you need to spend in 26, 27, because you've got all your forwards locked up already. And by then you're going to have your defense locked up too. So I think they'll be able to, and just this group they have is just so good that they're going to be there every year just off the strength of that forward group being so good. So I think that it's like one of those things, kind of like how Greg Boysen came on the show and just said, like, you cross that bridge when you get there. I feel like that's kind of the situation with them is like, you're always going to be in the mix with this crew. So you just got to keep figuring it out every year.
Yeah, you better hope that Bobrovsky stays healthy, though, or else you just trade away, Spencer Knight, and then you got to rely on newly acquired Vitek Vanacek and Chris Drieger. So good luck with that. So better hope Bob stays healthy there.
Yeah, true. 36-year-old.
That's what I'm saying, man. He's not getting younger. That's gonna be we're gonna have to look at that pretty soon. But that's a later problem, right?
Yeah, I agree. I like Florida a lot, though, man. Like they're just it's hard nosed. Like they lost to Vegas in the Stanley Cup final. They lost to Vegas in the final, and then they're like, okay, we know what we need to do, And they're the Panthers and the Knights are almost built along the same archetype.
They understood it now. Yeah.
Like they're similar, like they're rough, they're physical, they're big, their defensemen are long and rangy, and I like what they're doing.
Perfect, like archetypal playoff team. Like that's the way I think you got to play to win cups in today's NHL.
And I just think Sasha Barkov is like the perfect 1C. Like that is like the ideal 1C. It's just a guy that can do literally everything. So good two ways, but then also insanely high skill. Yeah, man, they're gross. They're gross.
It's gonna be hard to beat, right? I mean, they've been there, done that, right? So, I think if you're, Toronto or Tampa, you definitely, or anybody in the East, like, you don't want to face them for sure.
But he is right, though. I actually should check the sports book and just see like who the betting favorites are in the East.
It's gotta be them, surely.
I think if it's not, it's insane. Like, I don't know how you'd say that they haven't gotten worse since last year. Like, who do you think is going to beat them?
Yeah, I mean, just looking,
Toronto Maple Leafs.
They might favor, just because they're going to be probably just because they're going to win the President's Trophy. Well, it could be easier them or the Jets, but just because they have the same record, like I wouldn't value the Capitals over the Panthers come playoff time, and the Leafs, we know what tends to happen with them, in the first round, so I wouldn't favor them either.
The Hurricanes are the favorite to win the East, plus 290. Florida is plus 300.
Hurricanes, that feels like a bump from the Rantanen trade.
Than anything.
Yeah, it is.
It's more narrative based than anything anybody's seeing on the ice right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's value there at Florida at plus 300.
Are they second after Carolina, you said?
Yeah. And then it's Washington, and the odds jump from Florida to the next one, and it's Washington in third at plus 600. So
clearly the book doesn't believe in the Leafs because I'm not sure how they're below the Devils.
Yeah, well, the Leafs being plus 700 is actually crazy value.
Yeah, I know.
Because they're probably going to win the
division.
Yeah, and so they're going to have the most favorable matchup, and then, just that alone should have them below plus 700.
It'd be an interesting first round matchup. Our opponents tonight, if the Senators get into that last wild card spot, or the second to last, and they play the Leafs round one. That'd be kind of fun.
I mean, that feels narrative based too. Like the whole Toronto, like just because they've had early exits, I don't think I think that's a better team than New Jersey, especially since Jack Hughes might be out. Like,
without Jack Hughes, not even close. No, the Devils, I'm not. They're cooked. I really think they are. It depends how serious that injury is. I just don't think they're built for the playoffs either. Like, even if he is back, I don't know if he's going to be enough to drive him past some of these teams in the Atlantic.
So we have a couple of clips here. There's a couple of interesting stories going around. I mean, the Elias Pettersson situation in Vancouver. We've talked about it. The fact that Miller has 4 more points than Pettersson has shots since the deal. There is just a clip that was going around the internet yesterday of Pettersson talking about it, and I sent it over to Raven if we could hear that one.
Well, I think about it a lot, and I mean, I'll just be honest. I haven't been the way I want to be this year. I haven't played to expectation. I have on myself. The franchise have on myself or have on me. So I'll be the first one to tell you. But that's in the past. I just want to take these last 22 games plus more, hopefully, and play my best hockey. I wish I could. I wish I had. We had more wins. I wish I had played a lot better, but can't dwell on that anymore. And just trying to look ahead and let's see what tomorrow games. Well,
I mean, I don't know what else you'd want him to say.
Hey, saying the right things. I think eventually you got to translate on the ice here. I mean, it's been going on all season now. So
there's a lot of reports that he's been dealing with an injury. Maybe if you're Vancouver, would you not just shut this guy down for the season?
At this point, man, can it get? I mean, it just seems like we keep asking, can it get any worse? And it keeps getting worse for him. I mean,
if he's playing with an injury, this goes back.
He better be.
This goes back to that argument that we had of how teams do these players a massive fucking disservice by not sharing that information. Because if he has something tweaked and he's been playing minorly injured and has been getting absolutely hounded, not just by the Vancouver media but by the entire hockey world all year long, that sucks. That's tough on on anyone.
It would explain a lot because he doesn't look like himself out there. Hopefully that's not just like an excuse or whatever. But that sounds. I mean, if it's legit, then that would kind of answer a lot of questions that have been unanswered. Yeah.
So do you? Yes. Would you guys shut him down for the season?
100%.
Yeah.
Make sure he's fully ready for next season. And,
if he's injured, maybe.
But then there's a question of, I mean, they are still in this race here. And then if you shut down Pettersson, then, I mean,
Hughes is banged up too.
And then it's like you're basically saying sayonara to the season, which in a case, I already think, I know they're in the race points wise, but do any of us realistically think this Canucks team has a chance of making the playoffs? Hell no. And even if they do, that's a first round sweep. So I don't know. I think for them, that's
still 2 more home playoff gates though.
If they make the playoffs, Justin has to get a Vancouver Canucks tattoo.
You know what? That's fair. Okay. Flames tattoo, Canucks tattoo. Okay.
That's absurd.
Damn.
No, I'll take that. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my god.
Are you actually taking that?
Yeah. There's no shot. There's no shot this Vancouver Canucks team makes the playoffs.
Mom in chat. No.
There's no chance. This Canucks team is run by Quinn Hughes. He has that whole fucking team. If they can't even rely on him, there is no chance that poverty franchise, Bedard's going to go to Vancouver. These Vancouver fans could go shove off, man. One of the worst fan bases in hockey. That team is not going anywhere. They're fucked. They're screwed. They're not making the playoffs. And I'm rooting for that poverty franchise's downfall. I'm sure the city will burn down if they miss the playoffs this year.
Your mom is so funny, just shutting that down immediately. I love a good rivalry though. So now I have to be a fucking Vancouver Canucks fan.
Let's go Flames! Calgary, baby, the best Alberta team. Love my Flames. Hell yeah!
And they stomped the Flyers last night too.
Let's go.
Doesn't make
do
me
it for
feel
Johnny.
any better.
Calgary Flames, baby. Let's do it.
Do it for Johnny.
Hell yeah.
This is getting spicy here.
We got to meet in the ring sometime now to settle this.
People going, Vancouver's going to win out now.
People forget.
Vancouver wins the cup.
People forget the rivalry the Hawks and Canucks had, like in those 2010s, man. Remember those 3 straight series? Them. 2009, 2010, 2011. That Slay the Dragon thing. It lives in my head rent-free, man. It's like we came back down 3-0, almost finished the series, and then Chris Campilli turns the puck over to Alex Burrows, and there goes that. But it's kind of fun to hate these guys again because I feel like I'm starting to like the Canucks, but ever since the Bedard's been a Hawk and there's been all these delusional fans, like they've started pissing me off over there. It's like, yeah, you're franchise in shambles. I don't think Bedard and Celebrini want to go over there. So yeah, I think it's let's go Flames, baby.
I think this is totally gone off the rails a little bit. Not just the podcast, but the Vancouver Canucks organization.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Do you shut him down? Is number one, but
that's just
do
so
you
brutal.
Move him? Do you move him?
Yeah, like I think if you're gonna shut him down, you should move him. Like, because then, like, what do you do?
I don't think you can do
What
both.
do you say to Quinn Hughes, who's obviously playing through some sort of nagging injury? If they
Please
shut him,
stay.
yeah,
Please don't leave.
We'll give you anything. Like,
If Quinn Hughes is gone, then you got to enter a full-fledged rebuild because he's not going to be interested in that. So, and that's going to be a long trek, man, to get back into this.
Like the value for Pettersson is nothing. Like
I sincerely hope that this person in chat is joking with this this trade proposal here that Bedard for Quinn Hughes. I don't know. No.
Tassos does not need a horse in this Western.
yeah, what's your tattoo?
None.
If the Leafs get bounced in the first round, you have to get, I don't know.
No, none of that. None of that.
That'd be crazy though. If after that drama, if Pettersson and Miller and they're both gone.
And then, like I said,
I think it's pretty realistic.
Yeah, it is. Like
Yeah.
he's on these trade board lists, Pettersson. Like, I don't know. You better hope he's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I was
because you just gave him that massive contract, and it's like if this is what you get for the rest of it,
$11 million.
that's cooked.
I think he's tied for the 5th highest paid player in hockey.
Yeah, that's atrocious.
Like 35 points.
Like I think it's like tied with Eric Carlson. I think Carlson makes
When was
11,
the last
11
time
and a
he
half.
scored a goal?
We did this last time, but I think it was like mid-January.
Yeah, you're right. We already did. Yeah,
It's been over a month.
We talk so much, I forget what we talk about.
I know.
Yeah.
What was the other clip I sent you, Raven?
Kirby Doc.
Oh yeah, Nick Suzuki on the Kirby Doc injury. If we could just hear that.
Yeah, for him.
Feel horribly for him. Having back-to-back seasons like that is really tough, obviously, mentally for him. And we just want to be there to support him and get him through it and get him back healthy and have a good season next year. He's staying positive, coming in smiling. It's great to see that from him, and I think he has obviously the experience from last year of what works for him and how to deal with things like that mentally. So I think staying positive is a huge part of the recovery process for him.
Man, I feel bad for Kirby, man. It's funny. You look at the Hawks' first line right now. Who are Bedard's flanks? The guy we got for Kirby Doc, Frank Nazar, right? The guy we traded for. And then his younger brother, Colton Doc, is on the other flank. And meanwhile, Kirby Doc is, how much seasons has he had a season-ending injury, man? He just can't stay healthy to save his life. Same deal it was with the Blackhawks. So I feel for him. I like Kirby. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Always love, just good personality. I want to see it work out for him there, but I don't know, man. It just seems like he's just not really made for this. It's just every time he starts to get cooking, he goes down with something. I don't know. He's too fragile.
Like I'm trying to think of other players that dealt with a lot of these significant injuries, and I'm struggling too. Someone's going to come into my mind later, but players that dealt with these injuries and then came back. Like how old is he now?
Man.
24, 25?
23, 24, 2019 pick, same draft as Spencer Knight. So around that age.
Probably almost 25.
Yeah, and it's like
No, I think he's a year younger than me.
He's torn ACLs and shit.
24, 23.
Is he gonna be the same guy? It's like this year certainly didn't look like it. He just wasn't playing like himself.
He's an 01 birthday, so he's
24.
I hate
Okay,
that for
all
him,
right.
man.
So, but like, does he even have an opportunity to like turn it around?
You think it's cooked?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, how many guys like deal with injuries like this in the early goings of their career and then find it later on?
I don't think there's a single season of his career he hasn't been injured at some point. I think his rookie year is the only one. And it's like, how do you sustain that?
He had that,
they build on each other.
He had that wrist injury
at the World Junior.
And that cooked him, man. If they don't send him, I always think about alternate history. The Hawks don't send Kirby Doc to the World Juniors back in 2020, right? I mean, because it's hard easy to forget, man. Like that bubble series, like he was looking like it could be what Stan Bowman envisioned, our next Jonathan Toews. And after that, it just all downhill from there,
I mean, he's gonna have next year to do something. It's not like he's not gonna get it. He's gonna get Andreas Athanasiou, I don't think. I think he'll have next year to kind of prove it and try to stay healthy and put together a solid campaign and season. And hopefully for Montreal's sake, they're gonna be a better team than they were this year. So I think there's still a chance that he can come back. But yeah, you don't want many more instances of a season-ending injury.
Man, I was kind of joking around when I said Colton Dach could end up having the better career. Well, at least if he's staying healthy, like, yeah, he could end up having the better career of the two. How crazy would that be, man? I think in terms of the Frank Nazar trade, that too, like KD, absolute masterclass at that one, because Frank Nazar is looking pretty legit, man. But look at the Canadians, dude. Like, we talk about them not having a great season. Guys, they've won 5 games in a row, and they're 1 point out of the playoff race.
They had that like really electric January to like put themselves in the mix, and then they really fell off.
They're
in
a hot,
February.
cold team, man.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah.
and I think the Doc thing, you know, and we should mention they locked up somebody I had penciled into my
Jake Evans.
You know, got him done, and that maybe even drives up the value for Donato a little bit.
Absolutely.
The fact that a guy like Evans is off the board. Who else was re-signed too? Somebody else.
Well, Trent Frederick got traded.
Trent Frederick got traded.
To the Oil.
I feel like somebody else
got a
was
second.
locked up. Yeah. But yeah, I like the Canadians, man. Like, I think, first of all, hockey's a lot better when Montreal is good.
They're building something there. They got pretty good. Like, they got a good burgeoning young team here, but it's like they have a lot waiting in the wings too. Imagine next year when they got Ivan on that team, Ivan Demidov. Like, that's going to be, they could have something special there.
Reading something now. Apparently, the Rangers and Chris Kreider might be headed towards a split here.
That felt inevitable. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, they're in shambles over there in New York. Can't say I feel for them, but they are back in a playoff spot right now.
How about the New Jersey Devils for Mikko Rantanen, if they're really trying to stay in the mix here?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be their attempt at replacing Hughes there. But
what would they give up?
I don't know.
They probably give up Nemitz probably, or something like a top. But would they really be interested in that though? Like,
I think they'd have to give up more than just Simon.
No, they'd have to give up more. I'm just saying, if they have to give up like a big piece, a big process, and they probably give up I mean, they have to get more than that. Yeah, you think? Yeah, you're right. I just don't know what that looked like. I don't know if that really makes a lot of sense for the Hurricanes. Why would you do that, man? I don't get it. Like, all these Rantanen talks, like, it doesn't make sense to me. Why would you? I don't know. Why would you go back on that, man?
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then ship him to the team that you might be playing in the
That's
first
what
round.
I'm saying. Like, then you're just bolstering your potential playoff opponent. That makes zero sense, man. Like, why would you do that? I mean, it sounds great for the Devils, but for the Hurricanes, that you're just.
No, I don't think they're gonna do business because they might play each other. You know.
Yeah, I don't get that. Okay, somebody in chat. Actually, I know this guy Nolan. He's a beauty. I think he's going to be at the live show tonight. He broke down all of Kirby Dach's injury history here. 1920 concussion to start the season. 2021, that's the broken wrist. 21-22 had to have to deal with Kellerton and Derek King. So that was an injury, but fair enough. But he played 70 games a year, so he definitely missed time to something. 22-23, yeah, he played 58 games, and more injuries. 23-24 is when Jared Tenorti teared his ACL. That was against the Blackhawks.
Yikes.
That was like the third game of the season or something, second game. And then this year, yeah, obviously another knee injury to ruin the season. So, yeah, F's in the chat for Kirby Dach, man. That's feels bad, man.
And knee injuries are like some of the worst. Like,
because those can last.
Yeah, like outside
shoulders.
Of like I'd say knees worse than shoulder and back's worse than both. But like knees is almost as bad as it gets. So it's just like to have that keep happening. It's like
Kirby made a glass stock, unfortunately.
No, I was thinking about Scott Laughton when I was thinking of like other players. Scott Laughton wasn't re-signed, but it feels like that Scott Laughton to go back to Donato, I guess, for a second, but like before Donato is Laughton, like Laughton gets moved first, and then the teams that miss out on Laughton are gonna circle back
sets
to
the tone, the market,
a little bit.
I mean, I was seeing reports that he could get a first round pick. Like if Scott Laughton could get that return, you think Donato would be able to get that, maybe even and some.
Yeah, and Ryan Donato's played way better than Scott Laughton has this year. Like,
I think
their numbers are
better than him, like, too. Like, you maybe he's got more of a role here, then that's why his numbers are better. But I would take Donato over Scott Laughton. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Laughton 27 points in 59 games with a -16.
Yeah, no, it's not as good as a 22, 23, 45 -7 for Donato. If my math is correct, my head is correct. I just got a bunch of stats swimming around here. Got to find the right one, right?
Yeah. 22 goals, 45 points, -7 for
That was almost our team leader, man. He even missed a couple games in there too. Unreal.
Did you guys catch the Brock Nelson stuff yesterday? You
So
know,
is this time they're done?
well, I mean, it's sort of. I mean, it definitely seems like that's the way
The
it's trending
interview
right now.
definitely made it look like
they
it.
had a post game interview where, the reporter was basically like, how does it feel? And this has got to be kind of like the interview was like a little awkward, but you could tell he was like super emotional. Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams are being linked. It seems like that's like the guy that's like a pure rental, obviously, unless Rantanen's available. But
He's had a pretty good season too. Like that would be a hell of a rental right there, Brock Nelson. And what has he been connected to any like teams? Like
a lot of the
rumors?
Wild,
Yeah.
the Maple Leafs,
For Detroit.
yeah, Winnipeg. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes a little bit.
Yeah, Islanders. Maybe it's are they finally deciding more mediocrity isn't the way to go. It's finally time to start a shifting here, a rebuild. Yeah.
I think personally, Lou Lamoriello's done after this season.
Yeah, I think he should have been done. Like I think his time is well past here. Maybe he can finally retire there. Yeah.
I just think like we've talked about on Monday, we talked about like the Rangers are a mess and the Canucks are a mess and a couple other teams too, but like the Islanders to me, they have like, what do you do, man? Because you have Dobson, Sorokin, and Barzal.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's some pieces.
Good pieces.
you have a cornerstone piece on each front.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? You're gonna rebuild? You're gonna get rid of all those guys? Like you're toast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things where I don't even know what I would want if I was an Islanders fan. It's like, do you believe in that that your GM can turn it around in time to where like you have a good group around those three before they're like, in their 30s?
Oh, this is some interesting, not breaking news, but potentially breaking news soon here. It impacts Ryan and Alex. I think this was a team that, maybe was in on them, but probably isn't now. This is from Elliot Friedman. As we approach waiver deadline, I've heard Tampa Bay and Seattle working on a deal potentially involving Oliver Bjorkstrand and Yanni Gord. That's a former Lightning.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think the Senators, the Donato thing probably gained some traction there because that's one team off the table there. So man, that could be big.
That's such a Bolts thing to do,
Reacquire former players like that.
Yeah, just go out and get Yanni Gord back, and
why not? I mean, he's such a who doesn't love Yanni Gord? Just a worker, man. K-Wings legend.
K-Wings
as well.
legend.
Yeah,
K-Wings
Kalamazoo Wings. Yeah,
legend.
saw his name on the like what was that, the Wall of Fame there or something like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yanni Gord, K-Wings legend.
we're not gonna do K-Wings talk, but like and like the amount of players, because when they were in the IHL, the IHL and the AHL used to be like competitive leagues with each other, right? They were at the same level. Like some NHL teams had AHL affiliations and other teams had IHL affiliations. So back in like the 90s and stuff, the K-Wings were like the direct affiliate. So they had guys like Manny Fernandez and Marty Turco and, a lot of different dudes that were like, turned out to be like legitimate NHL players. Yanni Gord is like kind of in the era of like they were in the ECHL, so that's even almost more impressive, right? To go like ECHL, AHL, NHL. Right?
You don't see a lot of players like that who spend like that amount of time in the ECHL and not just like play in the NHL, but become like legitimate NHL players, like in cup teams and stuff like that. Yeah,
Pretty cool, man.
Cool story. Yeah, for sure.
All right, what else are we looking at? We should probably keep it shorter here today before tonight's live show. You guys got anything else that tickle in the brain?
Just Buffalo's absolute poverty getting dunked on by San Jose last night.
How do you let them do that? Yeah, this tank race is heating up, man. Suddenly, I love how San Jose starts winning when we start winning, right? That just makes total sense there. But we're 2 points.
We're motivating each other.
Yeah, exactly, man. And the Predators aren't that far out of that race too. But yeah, it's basically between us and the Sharks for just like last year for the first pick. So that'll be quite a race to watch the rest of the year here.
But just the Sabres seem just so dejected. And it's like, I don't know how you're going to like keep this core of players that they have and then just like turn it around this offseason and be good next year. Like this game last night, it was 6-2. It could have been 10-2. Like San Jose hit the post like 3 or 4 times, I think. They were just all over them. None of those guys want it. It doesn't even look like they want to play anymore at this point in the season. Talk about another team that I think is just a mess. I know they've got like a ton of young pieces, but it's like
It just seems like they're stuck in a never-ending cycle of poverty. They're never going to get out.
Not working.
It's a cautionary tale, right? Somebody not to emulate there.
Can I say something? I don't have to. Macklin Celebrini looks really good.
He does. Oh my gosh, he looked
really
amazing
good.
last night.
That's good for him. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, cool.
I don't know if you saw when they played Toronto on Monday and the Sharks came back and won. He had like Stolarz robbed him in the shootout, but just a disgusting. Like I know I'm a Leafs guy. I almost wish he'd scored that goal in the shoot. Like it was so disgusting, dude. I don't know.
Also, the media was kind of trashing him after winning in the shootout because I just saw so many people being like they looked like they just won the Stanley Cup, just like clowning them for being pumped after that win. And then after like every single goal they scored against Buffalo yesterday, they like did not celebrate at all. They were like, fine, we'll just mean mug this now.
I saw that take, and here's my take on that. Like, I think Celebrini's a stud. Like, I really, really do.
Yeah.
And the thing about him is that, like, you're gonna be mired in obscurity in San Jose for your whole career. Like, you're never gonna get those prime TV slots, you know. You're just never going to be the featured guy. Like I feel bad for his like PR team, Celebrini's PR team, because you're never gonna be able to grow into the same like brand personally, right? And so that's why like that game in Toronto, it's Monday night Amazon Hockey, you know, like that's a lot of those guys is like first time playing in Toronto, like Celebrini and Will Smith and all those guys. Like players get up for playing in Toronto, like the big markets like that. You know what I mean? So I don't care that they really celebrate.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Like, especially when you've been losing so much, like, and I would never fault this Blackhawks team for really celebrating with how things have been like all year long. Yeah. You finally got one.
Glazing is crazy, man. Holy jumping.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh. Justin's
so biased.
Justin's such a Celebrini hater. That's so funny. You would
Connor, you listening to this, man? Take it personally, man. Come on. He's not better than you. You're better than that fraud.
I'm not saying he's better than Connor. I'm just saying he's also
really
good.
Macklin Celebrini is a really good player. It just pisses me off that every single comment section online, it has nothing to do with Bedard. Every single comment section you look at, oh, he's actually better than Bedard. Like, oh my gosh, man. Like just the constant like comps, man. I can't wait. When do the Hawks play the Sharks? They play them pretty soon. I think it's the 12th of March or something like that.
Your mom goes, he liked him when he thought we could get him.
I was his biggest fan last year. March 13th, I better see Bedard put him in his place. Thursday, March 13th, 9:30, Hawks Sharks. That's a game I'm most looking forward to watching.
That's on your calendar already.
Yeah, I mean, look, we already played the Sharks twice this year, and Celebrini was nowhere to be seen in either of those matchups. So clearly he's afraid to play Connor. So we'll see. I'm sure something will conveniently come up there.
They need to fight center ice.
Yes,
right
I'd
off
love
the
to
opening
see
draw.
that. I love to see that, man. I can't wait to watch them. No, yeah, that's gonna be a fun rivalry. That's gonna be a great rivalry.
You know what? A question I'm gonna ask at the show tonight is I'm gonna ask who here thinks Celebrini's better than Bedard.
Yeah,
just hoping that
just
one person, just for one person, raise their hand and then watch Justin go into the crowd and fight that person.
Yeah, no. Well, time to throw hands, man. We will be throwing hands.
All right. Anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think we got a lot to look forward to today. I think we got the live show is going to be absolute cinema. We're still going to be doing the post game. We're going to be packing up and taking the post game back here. So we got a lot of content on deck here. So
that is going to be brutal.
Yeah, we're going to be so like out of it by then.
Well, I hope. Honestly, what I hope is like
we're pumped.
Yeah, like we're just riding the second wave,
and not just dejected. Like
hopefully, it depends. It's been how the game goes tonight, right? Like hopefully they give us a good one to cover, and it tends to be the case when we live stream these games. They tend to be pretty fun. I think it's got the St. Patty's Day vibes tonight. I think they're celebrating that. The UC, they're giving away like red hats or something.
Green hats.
Red hats, green hats. Jesus, man.
Yes, the known color of St. Patrick himself, red.
I was thinking of like, Christmas colors, so I was thinking of red. I'm wearing red too, because red's the best color. Hell yeah.
It's Christmas at the United Center tonight.
Yeah, St. Patty's Day. Hawks St. Patty's games tend to be absolute cinema, so hopefully the Hawks can make that happen.
All right, and that is Color Talk, brought to you by Chicago Hockey Radio.
Just let Bedard get out of his slump, man. Like that's all I care about. Like just please, That's all. That's
That'd
all
be
I want
nice
to
if
see.
he ripped one in the net.
Yeah, he's clearly been waiting for the live show.
I'm gonna place a couple wagers. I think by tonight.
Yeah, you totally should. That would spice up the conversation a little bit tonight.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right,
show-
everybody.
Well, like that's different from any other game. You're always putting bets on or something like
I
that.
haven't in a while. The game the other night was my first in quite some time. So, all right. Appreciate you guys. Come to the live show.
Be loud, be active. There's still time to sign up. RSVP link is in the description of this episode. You know, if you are looking for something to do tonight, please come to the live show. It's going to be a ton of fun. I think we're going to have way more people than even we expect. So be loud, be active, be passionate. Come with questions, thoughts, energy, and
Drink.
Drink.
Yes, brewskis.
Thanks to Midwest Coast Brewing. We'll see you all later.
Boom.